House of Representatives to hold National Summit on Future of Tertiary Education in Nigeria.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on New Nigeria People's Party's presidential campaign.
As the 2023 general elections draw nearer by the day, political parties and their candidates intensify campaigns for their successful outing.
Right. In this regard, the candidates have been crisscrossing the nooks and crannies of the country, of course, seeking to expand their membership and support from the electorate.
For the New Nigeria People's Party, the presidential candidate, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, has unveiled a 160-page manifesto for the governance of Nigeria if elected as president in 2023 election.
Now, that manifesto is entitled, My Pledges to You. The Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso 2023 blueprint promises, among other things, to mop up 20 million out-of-school children in Nigeria in the next 4 years.
The document also focuses on education, security, healthcare, stabilizing the economy, and youth empowerment.
Well, although some analysts say the NNPP as a Kano-based political party, but the national chairman of the party says NNPP is the fastest growing political party in Nigeria now, as he says it has grown in leaps and bounds over time and, of course, built structures in all states of the Federation and the FCT.
Now, the big question is, how would the campaign council work towards making the party acceptable by all sections of the economy of the country? And how would the party galvanize support, especially in the southeast?
A very big question to me.
Yeah.
And also, what are the campaign messages for the New Nigeria People's Party? And are the challenges facing the party in its electioneering campaign programs surmountable? Now, these are some of the issues we intend to raise as we continue our conversation on presidential campaign, focusing today on the New Nigeria People's Party. Remember, we have also taken on Jume, the APC. We have also touched on last
and
week.
The PDP too.
PDP.
Yeah.
First, we had the Labour Party representatives also here on Good Morning Nigeria. So today, we will be hosting the leadership of the New Nigeria People's Party. So on this note, I welcome you, as always, to Tuesday's edition. And I dare tell you, it's an all-female affair. I am
girl power. I'm Juma Yusuf. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria. We're live on the network service of the NTA. Another girl power, Comfort, is here to give us the highlights of the news. Good morning, Comfort.
Good morning. I guess today is Women Affairs Day. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Claire. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo just declared the 28th Nigerian Economic Summit holding Abuja open. The theme for the summit 2023 and beyond prioritizes the share of prosperity and calls on the nation to reflect on what priorities should be to attain inclusiveness, prosperity from 2023 and beyond.
Growth at 3.54%, as we've heard, in the second quarter of this year. Non-all revenues are also up, and they continue to improve, especially since some of the initiatives in the Finance Act. For instance, the increase in VAT from 5% to 7.5% led to an increase in revenues by as much as 69% above the target for 2021.
The draft Nigerian Agenda 2056 to increase the country's per capita GDP to $33,000 by 2050 is being finalized and will be launched soon. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning Zainab Ahmed at the opening of the 28th Nigerian Economic Summit said the plan intends to place Nigeria amongst the rank of upper middle income countries.
Agenda 2050 has the moral imperative to lower the poverty and unemployment rates significantly, as this is the only way we can ensure sustainable and broad-based growth.
The House of Representatives, at its reconvened sitting, has received 3 referrals from President Muhammadu Buhari for consideration and approval. House Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila read the communication at plenary, during which he announced plans to hold a national summit on the future of tertiary education in Nigeria.
CT 2022 budget proposal prioritizes improvement in healthcare services, job creation, youth empowerment, social welfare services, education, and increased productivity in agriculture. Please accept, Right Honorable Speaker, the assurances of my highest regard. Yours sincerely, M. Buhari.
And the resumption of Senate plenary, earlier scheduled for today, the 15th of November 2022, has been postponed to Wednesday, the 16th of November 2022. A statement by the Clerk of the Senate, Chinedu Akubeze, informed senators to resume sitting in plenary on that Wednesday by 10 o'clock in the morning. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, has tasked judges in the country to discharge their functions in a manner that conforms with societal changes, to make laws more relevant to the democratic dispensation. This was his message at the All Nigerian Judges Conference of the lower court of the National Judicial Institute in Abuja.
The judiciary plays a vital role in ensuring that a nation does not plunge into a state of anarchy.
President Muhammadu Buhari is to flag off APC presidential campaign today at the Rangpan Township Stadium in Jos, Plateau State at 10 o'clock in the morning. A statement released by the Plateau State Commissioner for Information, Dr. Dan Manjang, said in view of the traffic congestion that is envisaged and resultant disruption to movement and other activities, Governor Simon Bako Lalong has approved that Tuesday, 15 November 2022 be declared as work-free. By this declaration, therefore, the public is hereby enjoined to come out en masse to give the President a rousing welcome. The maiden edition of United Nations World Tourism Organization's Global Conference on Linking Tourism Culture and the Creative Industries Pathway to Recovery and Inclusive Development is underway in Lagos.
Participants are invited to seize the opportunity of the conference to discover actual and potential investment opportunities and human capacity development, in addition to sharing best practices on how to move these sectors forward.
Still from Lagos, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria FAN has reopened runway 18L 36R at the domestic wing of the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos, to flight operations. In a statement by the Acting General Manager Corporate Affairs, Faith Hope Ibeze, the completion of works on the runway closed on the 8th of July 2022 will pave way for improved flight operations as necessary infrastructure, including approach lights, runway threshold lights, have all been fully installed. In the statement, further expressed the gratitude of FAN to key players, especially the airline operators, for their perseverance, cooperation, and collaboration while the project lasted. That's the news for now. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Claire and Jume right after the break. Stay tuned.
Thanks for joining us. This is Good Morning Nigeria. Now, the federal government says it is on course to approach multi-dimensional poverty through its various human capital development programs. Let's join Kunle Ade for details.
Statistician General of the Federation, Adeyemi Adeniro, has emphasized that interlinkages between multidimensional poverty index, a survey carried out by the National Bureau of Statistics, is already receiving the needed attention. He disclosed this on the sidelines of the 2022 Nigerian Economic Summit in Abuja. He said the inclusion of states by the federal government will make the task easier, while UNICEF has pledged to be actively involved in the entire process.
There are so many programs of government just towards addressing the issue of multidimensional poverty. Looking at the Nigerian National Development Program 2021 to 2025, where government has indicated passion to lift 34 million out of poverty, 12 million Nigerians out of poverty by the year 2025. All these are geared towards eradicating multidimensional poverty by government.
We are talking about how evidence and data can actually help us to strategize and invest for children in Nigeria. UNICEF has been part and parcel in generating this data. We have made a lot of investments. As I mentioned, that we have been looking at multidimensional overlapping child poverty, which we use another methodology. But now with the NPI coming out, we have introduced and invested in a chapter on children to see what happens.
With business news, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
All right, many thanks to you, Kunle, for the business news. Let's take up our newspaper review coming up in just a moment.
And we have some papers here to review this morning to see what is trending in the country. Now, I have the Daily Trust newspaper, and just below the masthead, caution your spokesman. Caution your spokesman. Abdul Salami Committee tells presidential candidates. You find the details on page 33. We need to deal with multiple forex markets inflation. That's coming from President Muhammadu Buhari. You find the details on page 23. Naira redesign. Grains prices crash days after record surge. With riders, rush for grain subsides in major markets. Dollar bounces, sells at 770. Forex volatility may reduce investment and raise inflation. That's coming from experts. You find the details on page 4. IPOP kills monarch chiefs in Imo. Details on page 5. Why Obi can't win 2023 presidential election, coming from the Anambra State Governor Soludo, page 32. NBC Vice Arise TV, 2 million naira over fake report on Tinubu. Find details on page 6. And military places 95 million naira bounty on Turji. 18 orders. Locals say terrorist whereabouts is known. Claire.
All right, thank you very much, Jume. I think I have, let me quickly take the New Telegraph newspaper, and it has on its, as its lead story, Abdul Salam Kuka, troubled by verbal wars among political actors, and it's the lead story right there on your screen. Abdul Salam Kuka, troubled by verbal wars among political actors. It has, of course, 3 riders say their intemperate language, intimidation, outright violence, disappointing, charge presidential candidates to rein in spokespersons, and warn candidates will be held responsible for utterances made on their behalf. I think those are very key riders there that's accompanying the major story. We have other trended stories just below the nameplate. Buhari transmits Constitution Alteration Bill, others to Rebs. It's right there, of course. It has a rider as House convenes Tertiary Education Reform Summit. You can find the details right inside the paper. Senate postpones resumption to Wednesday. You heard that earlier in the highlights of the morning news. And 2023 budget reps propose 200 billion naira for flood mitigation, also trending there. And then the other story, World Bank, climate change may push 130 million into poverty by 2040. Federal government laments poverty level amid GDP growth. You can read up this on pages 4, the inside page of this paper. Okay, let me take you a little below the message, just at the foot of the paper. DHQ declares 19 terrorist commanders wanted. Again, DHQ declares 19 terrorist commanders wanted. Places 95 million naira bounty on them. NAV aerial patrols hit bandits camp in Kaduna, kills several occupants. Of course, there are other riders there. Now, let's take you to the right column there, which will be to your left. I'll soon return to Nigeria. That's Sunday Igboho insists on Yoruba Nation. NSCDC Special Squad smashes 10-year fake dollar printing syndicate. And again, 2023 budget reps query DMO over 3.564 trillion naira domestic debt, and rural farmers raking 174 billion naira in 7 years. Now, those are some of the trending stories on the front page of the New Telegraph. I also have the Al Jazeera paper. Al Jazeera is leading with the news from the presidency. It says APC chieftains stamp jaws as Tinubu flags off campaign today. Candidates who begin in Plateau win, says Lalong. Well, again, let me echo that. The riders to the lead story as Tinubu flags off campaign today. Candidates who begin in Plateau win, says Lalong. I think, Jimmy, this is a postulation that will require further hypothesis to validate the authenticity of this. And anyway, that is the story as captured by Al Jazeera's front page. We take you again to some of the trending stories. Alleged drug trafficking, that's on the left column. INEC lacks powers to disqualify Tinubu. DHQ places 5 million naira bounty on 19 wanted terrorists. Court adjourns Nnamdi Kanu's trial indefinitely. And on the other side, economic competitiveness weak despite ease of doing business reforms. NESG. Again, court nullifies Taraba APC Guba primary. And on page 12, activist sues Obi over involvement of toddler in rally. And reps, that's the inside story, reps small national summit on tertiary education. These are some of the trending stories on the front page of Al Jazeera. Yeah, okay. Do you have any story?
No, nothing here.
Okay, I think the one
that was trending yesterday was you know, we discussed yesterday the stability of the dollar, of the naira against the dollar here yesterday, and I think something has come out of our conversation as the president is saying they need to deal with multiple forex markets inflation. I'm glad that this program is watched by the people that matter and most of the decision makers, and every time we discuss, you know, burning issues like this, the presidency or the ministry that is involved comes out with a statement. I'm glad that the president is listening, because it's really you know hard on Nigerians as everything is escalating. Food, there's no fuel on the market, and it's because of the instability of the naira. And I feel if this can be, you know, done the way they say it should be, if they can walk the talk, I believe our economy itself will stabilize. Coming out of 2 recessions and maybe going into the 3rd, it's not.
I see another header that you have there on Naira design.
Yeah, Naira design. Grains prices. Yeah, we discussed it yesterday here on Good Morning Nigeria. You know, most people that have money in the house now went to the markets to buy grains and stock. They are not really collecting the grains. That's what one of them explained, is that what they do is they keep the grains there. When people come to buy, they now transfer the fund to their account. So
I know yesterday you also discussed the issue of sanitizing the
dollar.
Yes.
Yeah, the forex market.
Forex market.
Yes. So this came up in the conversation, and you know, always we Nigerians are the ones who try to shortchange the country, and it's not really fair on so many people who can't afford to buy, because the poor man that suffers on the street.
Always the poor man.
Yeah.
Always the poor man.
And I think get food to buy. What do you do with the money you have?
I wonder.
Yeah.
And the other story, Jimmy, I'd like us to also look at, which is very important is the one on by Abdusalam and Kuka. These are the leaders or the brain behind the peace accord.
Yes.
Signed by major political parties, and as we've always emphasized on this program, those peace accords should be made to be effective. They should have force on those who agree to be to sign the pact.
And
so the pact is binding on them.
Yes, it's binding
on them. And now the two leadership are saying that they are troubled by the verbal wars, the words we choose, how we apply them. And it says that the intemperate language, intimidation, outright violence, very, very disappointing. Very, very disappointing. And I wonder what, the leadership of the various political parties tell their supporters.
I think it's from the conversation that their supporters hear from them that they go out there, but at times they will argue with you that they are not in control of what the supporters do, because they are not there and they did not direct anybody to do what they did. But still, the committee should be firm.
Yes, it should be firm, and that's what the third rider here says. It's warning the candidates that candidates will be held responsible for utterances made on their behalf.
Yes.
But I'm wondering, because this is a voluntary, peace pact. It's really not binding. It doesn't have the force.
It doesn't have a law, behind it.
Yes, to do that.
To drive it.
But we do hope that the various political parties will maintain the decorum in their speeches when they meet their supporters, or when they, of course, canvass votes from the electorate.
Because if not, the process of the campaign is just starting. The APC will be kicking off theirs today by 10 a.m. And you can imagine going forward when it becomes heated itself, maybe from January, February. I don't know what is going to happen, but I believe all the presidential candidates have been players on the political scene for a very long time, and they know what they are supposed to do. And Nigeria right now does not need this kind of violence or verbal utterances that might push people to do things that are not supposed to do.
We have emphasized on issue-based campaign. Those are the things the people want to hear now, and I think Nigerians have gotten to the point where they are concerned about their livelihood. They are concerned about the future, their survival.
The future of their children.
Exactly. So I think this is the time to really communicate what you have, the contents of your manifesto, so that the people who will vote for your party will understand, what you intend to do and how you intend to do that. The political parties have come up with various manifesto titles, pledging to do one thing, to revamp the economy, to change the educational landscape. This is the time to convey, transmit your manifesto to the people in the language they understand, not using abusive languages or even going on the social media to, insult castigate
and threaten them. Well, that's it on the paper review. We'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation on the NNPP presidential campaign will begin. It will stay. And to begin our conversation on New Nigeria People's Party's presidential campaign, here's a background report put together by Garba Mohammed Nata'ala.
The New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, is one of the 18 political parties participating in the presidential election come February 2023. Towards ensuring success in the election, the party unveiled its 160-page manifesto titled My Pledges to You, that focuses on restructuring the education sector, security, healthcare, among others. The presidential candidate of the party, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, highlighted 20 promises in the manifesto, which the party will pursue if given the mandate.
Our politics is on the ground, not in the air.
Senator Musa Kwankwaso says his party remains resolute to revamping the nation's economy if elected come 2023 general elections.
Our team has already taken care of the key things, especially the issue of security, the issue of economy, the issue of infrastructure, the issue of jobs for our young men and women, of course, the issue of drugs.
The presidential candidate also pledged to mop up the 20 million out-of-school children in Nigeria in the next 4 years and provide free education. The NNPP's blueprint, according to the party leaders, will rekindle the hope of Nigerians with vibrant strategies that will turn around the nation's fortunes. While pledging massive turnaround in the party manifesto, the NPP will ensure it impacts positively on the lives of Nigerians. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be speaking to the manifesto of the NNPP presidential candidate shortly.
All right, Natala, thank you for the background report. And as you must have heard, our host today, or rather, our guest today will be the new Nigeria People's Party, a party that claims to be the fastest growing party now in Nigeria. And of course, it says it is the fourth largest. All right, so we have officials of the party right here in the studio. Of course, to give us insight into what the party has for Nigeria and Nigerians as we approach 2023 general elections. They will be unfolding the manifesto of the party for us. So let me quickly introduce the party's officials. And we have Dr. Agbo Major, who is the National Publicity Secretary of the party. He joins us live here in the studio, and we do appreciate your presence.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Nigerians.
We also have with us the party's national woman leader. She is Dr. Miriam Jumei Beluyasin, and it's also a pleasure to have you here with us.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you for having me here.
We have two Jumeis here today.
All right, Jumei.
Okay, let's begin. I will begin with you, Dr. Agbo Major. The NNPP is relatively a new party, and you're also saying that you're going to change the landscape of the political arena in Nigeria. Let's begin with that.
Well, first, it's important that I place it on record that we are not claiming to be the fastest growing party. Of course, we are the fastest growing party. That's number one.
It's a definite.
Yes. Then number two, we are not number four. We are number one. Because we are the party to beat in this country now.
Of course.
Looking at the cream of people that were paraded as candidates across all the positions. And then number three, it's also important that I place it on record that we are not new. This party was registered in the year 2001. In fact, we were amongst the first 5 political parties to be registered in this country. Shortly after the court judgment that opened up the space, that was the matter, the action that was taken by late Gani Fawemi, when the space opened, the first 22 political parties to be registered after PDP, AC, ABGA, and then NDP. We came in with the 22 political parties that came on board following that Supreme Court judgment. So I'm providing this background information so that you will know that we're not a new party. Now, where have we been all this while?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah, we strongly believe that the power to elect leaders rests with the ordinary people at the grassroots level. In advanced climes, the people at the grassroots level are those ordinarily that should benefit more from the delivery of dividends of democracy. The PVCs are there. Obviously, the PVCs are not in Abuja, they are not in Lagos. They are in your village, they are in my village. So, and these are the people that are alienated. These are people that have been kept away from government services over time. So one of the things we've done all this while is to ensure that we don't get to power without a well-articulated blueprint, a roadmap. And so we have always believed that at the appropriate time we would come, and that is why we are now here. So what we have done all this while is to stay around the ordinary people, mobilizing the ordinary Nigerians who seems not to be feeling the impacts of governance at all. We've stayed around them, and today, having been able to put them together to get them to understand that it's important that they are part of the process, and then invariably they should also benefit from the process, we are now back at the peak, now looking for power. That's why you see that we presented to Nigerians a cream of candidates that are unbeatable. Nobody can defeat them, from His Excellency Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, all through the various governorship candidates that we presented, the senatorial candidates, the House of Representatives candidates, as well as the State Assembly candidates. So we've taken our time, to build this momentum, which is what we're now trying to come out with. And I can assure you that by the time we get to power, certainly we'll get to power, that I know. By the time we get to power next year, we won't be looking for where to start from. Having stayed around the people, having been able to feel their pains, having articulated their wishes, their demands, and all of that, we have no difficulties hitting the ground running. Because part of the problems governments have had in the past is situations where they get into government positions without blueprint, without any clearly articulated action plan. And when that happens, you will see that the first 2-3 months, 1 year, 2 years, is always a period of trial and error. But for us, we're set, and then we're set to go.
All right. As they say, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. So it is only the outcome of the 2023 election that can justify the claims you have made so far. So we are not even in context with you until 2023 before we know whether indeed
we'll be there,
NNPC. Yes, of course we will have you. But let's look at your journey. You said you have been rallying around, the common man, so to speak. So what has been the behavioral response of the common man towards your party before we come to that?
First, we have presented ourselves or our party as a party that is real, that feels their pains. These people, Nigerians, especially the poor class, they've operated under very terrible situations in the past, situations where they are told lies, promises are made, these promises are not kept by people who have been in government at various levels in the past. One of the things we have done is that we have stayed around them, and so we have been able to present ourselves as a political party to them to say, okay, this is us. We are real. We have no difficulties staying around you. We already know your pains and all of that. So what we are saying is, remember too that the party, NNPP itself, is a party for the masses. If you check through the statistics, you will discover that it's not a party that is in the hands of money bags of any sort. This is a party that was formed by the ordinary people, run and still being run by ordinary people, funded and still being funded by ordinary people. So these are things that we've done differently from what the other political parties have done in the past. And we believe that that's what we have going for us. So far, the level of reception has been very marvelous. Anywhere you go to in this country now, no matter how remote the place is, you would see that what is on the lips of every Nigerian is a new Nigeria. And then the symbol of this new Nigeria, the vehicle, is New Nigeria People's Party, because we have also got them to understand, political parties just finished conduct of primaries, and just filed in candidates. And we stood out as one political party that had no reason at all, or never had any reason at all, to shortchange anybody. Those that the electorates crave for, those that they yearn for, and who were elected duly at the primaries are the candidates that are eventually the candidates on INEC records, on the ballot. But if you go through what other parties do, the candidates that are popular, that are close to the people, eventually do not turn out to be the candidates that whose names are on the ballot.
So the people, the electorate, the masses understand what the NNPP stands for in terms of what you're presenting.
Yes, it is their party. NNPP is their party. And so they understand clearly what the party sets out to do.
Well, I'm still going to stay with you before we come to Mariam. You said the party is not, you don't have money bags in your party. And we know in Nigeria, it's money politics. So how are you going to, tell Nigerians to vote for you you are the party for them and you can change their life?
Well, let me speak to you because I've been around the corner. I've been in active party administration for the past 20 years since this party was registered. And as I speak to you, I'm even the publicity secretary of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. That's the umbrella body for the 18 registered political parties. So we've been, directly in touch with the people. One of the things we've worked to change over time is the thinking of Nigerians that for every election, they should have material benefits, because we've insisted and we have told them repeatedly with emphasis that if you place emphasis on what you get materially for every election, you end up electing bad leaders, So until you do away with that, you will continue to have bad leaders mismanaging the country and mismanaging our economy and all of that. So, so far, it's been good. If you see what happened in 2019, 2015, people brought money. Some took the money and still did what they wanted to do. Some didn't take and were convinced by the decisions they made, and we've made tremendous improvement even on that. This is as a result of accumulated engagement, over time, getting Nigerians to understand that it is dangerous for us democratically to continue in that direction. That's the direction of always expecting to get either money or rise or whatever in return for these votes and all of that. And then remember too that we've also been actively involved in this process that has, enhanced the democratic process now and, added some credibility to it. The use of partial electronic voting system, the use of PVC, not beavers, the use of the card readers, which has now metamorphosed into the PVC, into the beavers and all of that. These were things that we actively, contributed towards its introduction. So over time, we've been able to get this done. And if we were able to get this done progressively, and this is where we are today, at least the outright writing of results and all of that are now things of the past. So the only thing left now, which is the challenge that we have now, is this vote buying. That is money in exchange for these votes. But I can tell you that it's just a matter of time because we didn't envisage that when we were looking at how to, clean up this process, which led to the introduction of this partial electronic voting system. So we've continued to appeal to Nigerians, using the instrument of moral persuasion to look at the future of their children, especially those that are yet to be born, and then see reasons why they should take decisions that are not, tilted towards the financial gratifications they get for every election.
I do believe that, from the body movements that Nigerians know quite well, what to do, when the elections begin. They know the essence of the 2023 general elections. But let me again, before we move to Abuja, Dr. Jume Yasin, you talked about the NNPP as a party. Indeed, the party, the NNPP as a party precedes most of your members now. The formation precedes most of your party, especially even the presidential candidate.
Yes.
But I'd just like you to share with us how much of the Kwankwasia movement is in your party.
No, the entire Kwankwasia movement, came into the party with its founder and leader, His Excellency Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. He didn't just come with the Kwankwasia movement alone. He also came in with his second leg political organization, which is what is called the TNM, the National Movement. When they came in March, he came in with these two organizations to fuse into the NNPP. And today we are NNPP. So maybe to answer you directly, I want to tell you that the entire Kwankwasia movement is in NNPP.
Okay, so we will be right to say that basically the Kwankwasia movement is the bedrock of the NNPP.
No, I don't think so. That's not. You could say that they've come, with their number, they've added value. But like I said, I gave you a brief history of how the party has fared so far since 2001 that it was registered. If it's a party that was inactive, it would have gone down the same way other parties went. Remember that under Atahiru Jega, about 60-something political parties went down into...
when you say active, what exactly do you mean? In terms of
been winning
within what context?
Yes, the primary responsibility of every political party is to field candidates and win election. And this is what, we're guided by that. We've always fielded candidates, for every election. We've fielded great Nigerians, the likes of Kalu Idika Kalu, the likes of Galtima Liman, who was trained in Harvard School of Economics and all of that from Borno State. These are people who added value to electioneering and electioneering campaigns in this country in the past, you know. So the party has been there and it's been doing its primary responsibility of presenting candidates for election and then winning elections. As I talk to you now, it's on record. You can go through INEC records. In 2019, we won. We have on record now the youngest lawmaker in the country, Dahiru, who represents Bauchi Central in Bauchi State House of Assembly. As at 2019, when he won election, he was the youngest.
Under the NNPP.
Under the NNPP, yes.
How many seats do you have in the National Assembly?
Well, you know, on air, sometimes the way elections are conducted in this country, I won't be able to tell you what we won and were denied. Because
we're not talking about what was denied.
Yeah.
How many do you have? It's just okay.
At the National Assembly.
At the National Assembly, House of Reps.
Do you have candidates in all the elective positions?
Oh yes, at the National Assembly at the moment, we have 2 serving senators, Bauchi Central, Bauchi South. Of course, there would have been 3, if not that Shekarau eventually defected to PDP. Then at the House of Reps, we have about 13 or 14, 6 of them from Kano, 1 from Kogi State, you know, 1 from Delta, about 13 of them. State Assembly, of course, that's numerous. I won't be able to accurately tell you. Okay, but I can tell you that we have, in Kano alone, we have about 25 members of the State Assembly, you know, so...
They defected or they won on the platform of the NNPP?
Some defected to join us, some won on the platform of the NNPP.
Okay, let's bring Dr. Mariam Jummai Bello Yasin, my namesake. It's a pleasure to have you join us. We've had interviews here in the studios in the past, and I know you're very passionate about Nigerians.
Yes,
so what is the standing of your party right now in Nigeria? And with the manifesto that is coming out, I see the presidential candidate saying there's a lot of work to do in the area of women and youth emancipation. What's your take on that?
Yeah, thank you so much for this question. I had wanted you to ask me even earlier before my my colleague. Women are the pathfinder of the party. We are so highly rated that a lot of activities have been earmarked for us, which will enhance the performance of women in politics, in social activities, in economy, in education, in health, and other areas that is very relevant to us. Number 1, education of women is very paramount in our party. Women, girl and women education is one of the priorities, because he believes education is the bedrock of any development in the country. If we are not educated, we will not be carried along to be able to perform in the activities of the government. So education is one of the priorities. Secondly, health, which is wealth. Antenatal, all these clinical activities and all that, women have been given free, economically free. They will not pay for antenatal. They will be immunization. There will be their children. This antenatal clinic, they will be there. It's free. There are a lot of things that women will benefit from health facilities.
If you're elected,
inshallah, we are already going in. There is no any doubt about it. Our women will be educated, because like when RMK, our president, incoming president, to say, when he was in government in Kano, he trained women in midwifery, in medicine, pharmacy. A lot of women were sent out to go and train in Egypt. Some women came to Nigeria to train our women within in Nigeria. And the health facilities, a lot of like this VVF and all these things that happens, these some of our problems that is known to us as women, will be taken care of passionately, because he felt that because of lack of good health, we lost our own children yearly. A lot of them will have diarrhea because of mosquito and all that. There is no neat environment, and health is one of the best way to curb all these problems from women. Thirdly, apart from women role in this country be taken care of seriously, we are going to be involved in governance, and we are going, the government will put a lot of things in place to address women issues, e.g. we have the issue of this kidnapping, we have issue of this rape, we have issue of molestation in the office, and all these things. It will be taken care of. Women organizations, there will be a fund kept aside for women organizations so as to enhance their activities. NAPTIT, they will empower NAPTIT to continue because of carrying our children to Italy and all this. They will checkmate all those things. So the party has a lot for women. Then in empowerment, they will empower the women so that some of us who are traders, some of us who are who have businesses, this micro something like that, there will be fund earmarked for them to enhance their productivity and to help them. Then there will be a bridge of gap between the women in the rural area and the women in the urban area. If you notice, women are very, very passionate about farming. But mostly, some of them have run to the urban area. Urban area is so choked up that most women and men, they are, even youth, they are not staying in the village again because there is no any infrastructure that helps them to progress further. So they are seeing their women counterparts in the municipal, in the urban area as if they are making it more than them. Some of them rushing without even job. Some of them are not even educated. They don't have any skill. So there will be a skill acquisition. Not everybody will go to school. All the facilities that will be tailored to women will be something that is relevant to what we can do. If you are good in education, you will be trained. If you are good in skill acquisition, you'll be trained, and a little money will be given to them to establish their own private business.
Okay, Dr. Miriam, yes, and thank you very much. I agree, and I know that one of the cardinal points, that the NNPP, your party, stands for today, is education. And I know that, from what your presidential candidate and indeed your manifesto, says, it will be the desire of the NNPP that every Nigerian, everybody, gets educated. But aside that, I'd just like for you to speak to us about the gender mainstreaming within your party. Right now, most of the other parties, or many of the other parties, are moving away from gender stereotyping. You now see a lot of the Gen Z generation taking up, prominent positions within the party. They are now spokespersons of the party. They are now forming, mainstreaming women into their presidential campaign council. Awesome. So how does your party, hope to mainstream women into decision making? Because that is the area where women are now agitating, for placements, decision making positions, elective positions. What is your party's, platform or provision for
My
them?
party has made a lot of provisions. Like, first and foremost, when we sold our forms, a lot of women bought the forms. And most of them were not denied their right to stand in for election.
The forms were given to them free.
It was given to them free. And if you go through INEC, INEC papers or whatever, documents, you will find a lot of women that are contesting. I'm on set. I wouldn't sit down. I've been in women issues for years. I'm representing women in West Africa. I'm representing women in London. I have a lot of activities that I've been involved with this NGO. So for that really is one of the reasons why he has to look for me for this position. Because we told him, we sat together and said, without women being in this train, in this program, we are not going to be part of it. I personally wouldn't have been part of it. But I know he has passion for women. You might see him very quiet. He doesn't talk. He doesn't make noise. But he is a workaholic. And he takes everything into consideration. Women, both forms, they are allowed to contest. If you had seen the program I held 3 or 4 days ago, women were so many. We spoke at length. We had our communique. We discussed on way forward, our role in that party, and how it has to be accepted and all that. We spoke with him. We sat with him, and he said there is no problem. The ones that most of us in that area, in the committee, we are so many. We have the zonal women committee. We hold our regular meeting. We have the state women committee. We have the local government. We have the ward.
How many women elected positions did you the female members of your party?
Well, I wouldn't give the correct data because I don't have an idea. Yes, I don't tell lies.
But from what you're saying, we're going to be looking at a definite 35% affirmative action for women.
It has to be
under the NNPP.
It has to be. Even in secretary to the state government, most positions are going to be held by women because he believes we can perform, and he has trust in women that we will not disappoint him. He had worked with women when he was in Kano as commissioners. He had worked with them, executive secretaries and all that. Some of them spoke on that day we had our meeting. So I know he's not going to leave the women behind. We are together, we are co-opted, and we are working hand in hand with him. And he has promised us that he's not going to fail. And he's a man of honor. He keeps to his promise. So women should sit up. The market women are going to be carried along. The women in associations and wherever, they'll be co-opted in the government. In fact, the PRC that he spoke about, the community participation, women are there. Even women retiree. Even PTA chairman, local government chairman, any party that is so popular within that locality. So they are co-opted, and it's not something of saying it just because he wants to win election. We sat down. This manifesto was properly arranged and properly selected to make sure that it meets the yearnings of Nigeria. Women are most highly rated in this our party, and I'm assuring you, you are my friend, you know me. Yeah. So don't have any doubt about the role of women in this party. Women are highly carried along. Anywhere we go, you will see women. Yes, and they are working assiduously to make sure that this manifesto work very well, and we are accepted in Nigeria.
Okay, Dr. Moriam, thank you so much there. You know, I'm sure women watching this morning will begin to rethink their decision when it comes to, you know, bringing them on board as stakeholders in a political party. Let me bring in Dr. Abo.
If you are going away from the female thing, please just hold on. Let me. I don't know. Is it still on the female issue?
Yes, it's still on the female issue. Okay, you know, most times, you know, these political parties talk about 35% affirmative action for women. We are going to work for women. We are going to give women this. We are going to give women that. They are the larger part of the electorate. They go out there, they multitask before they go to vote. And then at the end of the day, we're left hanging.
Well, I want to tell you, maybe by the time I give you this background, you will understand that NNPP belongs even to the women. Yeah, the party was formed in 2001 for the purpose of serving the political interests of women and youths. That's why if you look at members of the party today, you hardly see these old folks around us. We're all young people, youths and women. And those who are close to the party or who have had one thing or the other to do with the party would attest to the fact that this party has done everything possible to enhance, you know, the political activities of women.
Yeah.
One, for all the elections we've had since the party was registered, women have received nominations free. That's one. Two, the 35% affirmative action, Beijing Declaration you are talking about is something that I'm very familiar with. I've been a crusader on the need, maybe because of the passion I have, because I have about 3 female children.
He for she.
I have that passion. I have that passion for women. So I have been at, on top of this crusade that women should be given opportunities even more than men. I've traveled around the world, and I know that in the Western world, the women are almost on top of the men, unlike what we have in Africa. That's why it's difficult to rough handle a woman in US or in Britain or somewhere and you go free. It's very difficult. But in Africa, anything goes. Now, in terms of this 35% affirmation, we're not even looking at 35%. Those who are familiar with the party will tell you that for everything we do, we insist almost on a 50-50 stuff.
Yeah.
Even in terms of the party's top administrative level, if you check through the statistics, maybe when we're out of this place, I can avail you with that, you would see that the management of the party has about 45% women representation. That is the party management level. Now, I want you to also understand that part of the difficulties we've had in the past, there are two things I say, and each time I say it on air, my phone will not rest because women from all over the world will start calling me to say, why? One, before now, women, because of religious impediments, you hardly see them come out to participate in political activities. But one of the things we've tried to do during the last 2-3 election cycles is to, encourage women participation by creating an enabling environment, as it relates to time when political meetings are held.
Yeah.
In the past, meetings were held in the night and all of that, which clearly placed the woman at a disadvantage. Of course, no married man would want to sit down and watch his wife go into a meeting for 12 midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. and all of that. But one of the things we've tried to do is to change the face of politicking by ensuring that critical meetings, political meetings, as a political party, we insist that our meetings must hold a daytime that is conducive enough for women to be able to participate. We also have encouraged INEC in the past to create more polling units, which is what you have seen now, so that the women, especially those whose movements are restricted, based on religious practices and all of that, would be able, they don't need to go far before they can access polling units. Because I've always argued on air, and I think it's not an argument because statistics have shown that a greater chunk of these PVCs are with the women.
Yeah.
And what we've seen in the past is husbands coming to meet their wives to say, give us the PVCs. That was when it was possible through the porous opening that is associated with the card reader. When the card reader stops working, you can use the incidence form. That was what was in vogue in the past. But with the introduction of the beavers now, once you have a PVC that is not your own, that the beavers is unable to verify either your facials or your fingerprints,
to reject
it's worthless. That PVC is worthless. So we are now doing more to encourage the women. Okay, it's now a challenge for you to come out so that you can utilize the potency of your PVC, because in the past your husbands could take it and then go there and position somebody and say the card reader has packed up. Oh yes, you are the owner of the card. Maybe through some kind of illicit activities with the polling unit staff and all of that, they will be able to cast votes with another person's PVC and all of that. So we are now looking at the area of ensuring that the women come out because their PVCs are worthless if they are not physically there. So in terms of women participation at the party management level, I can tell you it's about 45%. Then associated with candidates, issue of candidates, of course, we are still battling with the challenges of getting women to effectively come out to participate. But those who came, when the window for sale of forms opened, all of them got forms, and they got these forms free of charge. And a lot of them are our candidates. Let me also tell you that under the PDP,
did they win their primaries?
Exactly.
Did they win their primaries? How many women won their primaries?
One of the things we did as a party, was to ensure that, of course, without fear of being seen as a party that shut people out, we persuaded men who were running against women to try to look for other positions to run for. One of the things we did, if for instance you have a woman that is interested in running for Benue Zone C Senate, eventually that is where I come from, would any other person who indicates intention, a man, will say, look, we have this flair for women. This party belongs to women and the youths. If you would do us this favor, if it's either you work with this woman to ensure she succeeds, or you just, look for another position that you can run. We try to do that. Of course, as expected, democracy is about interest. A lot of people refuse to give in to that persuasion and that position. A lot of them still ran against the women. But one of the things we did was we went all the way to, continue to define the mission, the thinking of the party for women. And so we went out of our way to even campaign for some of these women to be able to win these tickets, against the men that ran against them. So as I talk to you now, we have a lot of women. And it didn't just start today. Under the Jonathan's PDP government.
Can you just complete that thought? You have a lot of women.
Yeah, who are running.
Who are running for
as I speak to you now, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
State Assembly, National Assembly.
Under your party.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Senate.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Major, for those insights. And indeed, I dare say that they are commendable reforms or gestures, to the women.
We have always requested us in that direction.
To the women.
Yeah.
But let's look at the electoral/constitutional provisions for the emergence, for winning a presidential election. Of course, you know that to do that, you have to get 25% of the votes cast, and in not less than 24 states.
Yeah.
Does your party have that strength and capacity?
Well, you are taking me back to where we already have passed. I've told you that as an old party that has stayed around the ordinary people all this while, we haven't been, on top of the media like you see others do, because for us, we believe that power resides with the local people. And these local people, how many of them read newspapers? Where you see these giants go to spend money to place adverts and tell the whole world that they are big and all of that.
They have not even
how many of the rural dwellers, of course, NTA is there for them to watch, but how many of them watch AIT? How many of them watch channels where these bigger ones who have helped themselves, in the past, having formed government at various levels, have these enormous funds to be able to put themselves out there? We've stayed around the people. So if I have given you that background, then you should know that the issue of winning, we're not just looking at 24 states. We want to win outrightly.
Outrightly.
A lot of people would come to tell you that it's most likely maybe because of the spread of the candidates going into this election.
The other people are not just watching you. They are not laid back. They are not also sitting back. They are also moving.
Let me tell you something.
Hold on, woman leader. We don't underrate anybody.
Hey.
But we are also not afraid of anybody. Because as far as we are concerned, we are more deeply rooted than all these parties. Of course, you can see the bigger ones. I think we are now beginning to expose their inadequacies. It's obvious that they are not on ground. They are on ground in Abuja, that is a cosmopolitan place. They may be on ground in Lagos. They may be on ground in Abeokuta. They may be on ground in Akure. But are they on ground in Oyemekun in Ondo State? Are they on ground in my local government, which is Okpoku in Benue State? These are the issues. But I'm telling you that all along...
Is NNPP on ground in...
Which one is your local government?
In Okeakpomu.
Yes.
Where is Okeakpomu?
I wouldn't know.
But you said yes.
It's in Edo.
Which state is that?
Is it not in Edo?
Let's shift away from...
But let me I think I need to answer her.
Okay.
Because she was trying to find out, for the purpose of viewers, it's important that I let you know that we're not looking at 24 states. Remember that this election will be decided on a two tripod stand. One is simple majority, and then the second is 25% across a minimum of 24 states. I can tell you that we have no challenges in that direction. Of course, a lot of people have come to say His Excellency Rabi Musa Kwankwaso is strong in the Northwest, but he has gone around the whole country, and you are NTA, you are media people, you are following us. You would have seen that anywhere he goes to, he's a cynosure, of the electorate. Just last week, where others have been unable to go to and come back, he has gone there. He was in Enugu for 2 days. You saw what happened there. He went to Ebonyi. So the whole of Abakaliki was shut down.
Yes.
And he went even deep into Ugep. It's unprecedented. No presidential candidate has had the time to go deep down like that. One of the colors we have introduced into this campaign exercise, which has never happened and which will not be raised in the nearest future, is that we have made our presidential candidate available to the ordinary people. We have changed our strategies. We want him to go deep down and meet with the people.
So it's available to the people.
He was in Ugep a few days ago. No presidential candidate has gone to Ugep.
Let's talk about the policy thrust of the NNPP. He talked about ending security challenges. jobs for youth and revamping the economy. This Nigerians have heard from all the political parties. What kind of flavor are you bringing into the mix here?
Thank you so much. We as Nigerians, we know the challenges that we have, and these are traditional challenges. We all know that we have problem of insecurity, we have problem of unemployment, and all these things are weaved together. You know, once you solve one, which is critical, it affects the rest. If you go through the blueprint, the 160-something page blueprint that was released to the public about a week and a half ago, you will see that there is a well-articulated strategy, which Nigerians have never seen before. You get what I'm talking about? This strategy, which one is it? You know that the idle mind is the devil's workshop. Once you leave a young man to his fate, the fact that he sees others flaunting riches and all of that, he would also be challenged to say, if they could live this life, what stops me from being able to live this life? And the challenges and temptation of thinking of terrible things, which are, vices that the society does not require, is there. The first thing is to deal frontally with the problem of unemployment. Mop up this unemployed youth from the streets. Of course, he has told you clearly that the size of the army would be increased. Of course, he has been defense minister before. Yes. So he can tell you accurately whether the soldiers in boots are adequate for a country that is as large as ours or not. He also talked about increasing the size of the police. He also talked about extending NYSC to 2 years. And by the time you are leaving after 2 years, you are not only living with the NYSC discharge certificate, you are living there with an appointment letter into your choice security organization. So as you are registering.
Skill acquisition?
Yes.
Yes. What about skill acquisition?
It's the same thing. If you want me to take them front, I'm telling you that the first thing is to ensure that we don't even find people on the streets looking helpless. And the only way you deal with that is to ensure that everybody is engaged. How do you do that? Those of school age should be mopped up from the streets and put in schools. Those who have left school, instead of allowing them, for instance, to go into NYSC and return after 1 year and take on the streets to look for a job, ensure that at the point of registration, the person indicates whether he wants to join the army, or he wants to join the navy, or he wants to join the police. So as
they do in America.
As he's entering, you know that he's not only going to do the 1 year NYSC, he's also going to simultaneously undergo training for his chosen career, whether military or whatever. Once that is done, you won't find unemployed youths. If you go to the northeast, that is the hotbed of this insurgency, you see a lot of them are educated. They are helpless. They have nothing to do. So a pragmatic government would want to make sure that there are no people on the streets, because that is what leads to this temptation of going to look for things that constitutes vices that are nuisance to the country. So dealing with that will, frontally confront this challenge of unemployment, which has led to this issue of insecurity. We need enough boots on the ground, like he said. That's his language. I'm quoting his language directly. When he presented his blueprint to the world, he said, enough boots on the ground. I've been defense minister before. The size of the army is grossly inadequate.
They are overworked.
The size of the police, of course, by UN standards, it's supposed to be one policeman to how many? You are NTA people, you should know.
No, you
will increase the size of the police, and then the navy, and so on and so forth. And this will, mop up these unemployed youths who are now in the northeast.
Who have hot, their head is hot.
Yes.
Exactly.
They are looking for an avenue to
vibrant.
Let's also look at other aspects of the blueprint. The 160-page manifesto is a documentation of myriads of pledges that your party is making to Nigerians, and we have seen some of those areas recycled over and over again. But when it comes to the education sector, yes, we have seen what your presidential candidate did in Kanu during his tenure as governor. At least before he left, data has it that he was able to increase, the number of enrollment, especially at the primary school level, to up to about 3 million. I don't know what the exact figure is. But be that as it may, at the state level, the whole educational sector at the national level is bogged down by inadequate funding or funding capacity, because the bulk of it is borne by the federal government. Your principle is emphasizing on revamping the educational sector, providing free education at all levels. That's what he says. I'm wondering, with the current economic indices and global, dynamics, how does he hope to do that, to change, the status quo?
It's good that you are talking about. It's good that you are talking about global dynamics, which means that the economic stagnation that our country is now facing is a global situation.
Yeah.
And so if you talk of other countries, where education is provided free, almost free, for instance, and they are able to survive it, I don't know how a country that is as rich as Nigeria in terms of resources will not be able to do that. How did he do it in Kano? Of course, you and I know that the population in Kano is massive. He said it with laughter that day, that he got to a level, even from the beginning, he was not only looking for indigenes of Kano to pick from the streets and take to schools, but he was looking for residents. He used the word residents. That means Igbos, Idomas, Yorubas like you and the rest that were there and prepared to go to school, were mopped up and taken to school. And they received this education free of charge. He also took, that day too, he was thanking the parents of those who he sent out of the country.
Who are now mostly pilots.
Yes. Pilots, nurses, pharmacists, medical doctors, engineers, and all of that. They're everywhere, spread across Nigerian universities. Most of them are professors now. Some are doctors, head of departments, and all of that. And yes, the other day they flew him from Birnin Kebbi. He didn't know that the two captains were part of those that he trained with his own personal funds and all of that. So what I'm trying to say is that there are so many ways to do it. For instance, there was something that the PDP government at one point tried to introduce. They were trying to tax entrepreneurs, especially the larger ones, with a view to, they call it education tax or something like that. I think it didn't, they were not able to sustain it. Yes. These are strategies that could be brought back so that instead of disturbing the parents of those children who are disadvantaged, because whether you stretch them from here to Gariki, you won't get anything from them. And so the only way they do it is to leave the children to stay at home. So there are so many things that are there in the blueprint, that would be the strategies to generate funds to be able to put back in the education sector. Of course, he's Mr. Education.
Yes.
As I talk to you now, he has universities. The other day, during the unveiling of the blueprint, people were brought, not just houses,
at the universities,
not just Fulani,
are the universities free?
No, I don't.
They are not free, but they are not expensive.
But the beauty of it all is when he was
that was his own personal university.
Dr. Mariam, let me come to you. The beauty of what he did in Kano, and which most Nigerians were aware of, most of these children he took abroad to go and school or any of these universities in Nigeria, he didn't just go out there and say, bring me them. He walked himself. He told them to bring the WAEC, the NECO result himself, to be able to pick those that have distinctions, they have, higher credit. Is it going to be replicated on the federal government level, building on what Claire said? Where will we get the funds to do that? Where can they, as a president, where will he get the funds to do that?
Funds.
If it's going to be replicated.
We are not poor country. We have money. The leakages are many. You can see even recently that they said they are going to change Naira. You know what happens? We've been saying it. You are the media. You can see what is happening. Leakages are many. People have indulged themselves in stealing, frustrating the money we have in this country. In those days, you remember we helped Ethiopia. In those days, we helped Dubai. We have a lot of countries that we are assisting them. Why is it now? Let me take you back a little. When I was a young girl, a small baby, we attended a very free education.
You're still young.
We attended free education. We were given uniform free, we were given soap and whatever, and we are not paying school fees. We enjoyed ourselves. We had it very well. Now that it comes to the age where we are supposed to replicate what we enjoyed to the younger generation. We are frustrating them. When I finished my school in when I finished my NCE, you know, then at NCE you can go for service.
Yes.
We were taking 100 naira, and then I had a car loan. I was given a car. I bought Peugeot tear leather 5,000. You can imagine that kind of thing now. And if the way they are running the economy is so bad, they are endemic into corruption. If we are not going to fight corruption, we will prevent it right from onset. There are strategies that have been laid down, processes that we followed for any kobo that comes out of government force. So don't believe that we don't have money. He will do it perfectly, even more than what he did in Kano. Because there is a lot, we have cocoa, we have a lot of things in this country. So why wouldn't we get the money? You saw the EFCC man, when he does his job, they will arrest him, they will lock him, they will tell him all sorts of things. And they kept him there to be to sit down and be watching. He can't watch. We are not doing the right thing. That is why we are in this kind of problem. By the time Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso takes over the mantle of leadership in this country, you'll be amazed. You will thank God you've chosen him. That is the right candidate for this country.
Tell us, I'll tell the viewers, because when we talk about free education, it's a blanket thing. We don't even know what it consists in.
Quality, not only free.
What is the
Quality,
philosophy? What is the
education.
philosophy of a free education within the context of your party?
The education is, for the fact that it is the bedrock of development. If there is no proper quality education for the masses, for the community, for the people in this country, I don't think we'll be able to develop. They should be enlightened. They must know what comes in, what goes out. There will be accountability. They are not going to embezzle the money.
But quality education does not come free.
It does.
Because
it does. It can come free. It all depends on how it is being managed. I'm a proprietress of a school, and I know what it is.
Madam,
I've been running schools for years. I've been running schools for years, and I know what it is. So it's not education. We can get it free. Quality education, free education at all levels. He knows what to do, because we don't want to open all the secret down before they start running up and down and claiming our processes.
Yes, let's look at what is happening now with the tertiary education. I mean, we are all aware of the issues and the magnitude of what the problem is. It's still unresolved. This is a very big issue.
Well, she just told you something that is very germane. The economy is bleeding. There's revenue leakages everywhere. Now, if these leakages are blocked, it means more money for the government. If our revenue earnings are diversified, it means more money for the government.
Have you identified the leakages, the point of leakage?
Well, the key thing there is corruption, which we want to prevent. We don't want to fight it. We want to make sure that it doesn't happen at all.
So how are you going to block it?
Oh my dear.
To prevent it.
Yes.
Supervision. One thing that is lacking in this country is that there is no supervision. People are appointed into positions and they are allowed to do whatever they want to do. Nobody talks to them. He told you the other day, he said for every week he would come out to speak to Nigerians. His Excellency. That's how to
communicate.
Yes, that's how to provide leadership. That would put all political appointees on their toes. The ministers will be up working. The directors will be up working. The other civil servants will be up working. And there will be effective supervision. Once there's supervision, this corruption that we are seeing will be brought almost to a zero level. Of course, there is no country that is corruption free, but ours is embarrassing. So what we need to do as a takeoff point in 2023 is to ensure that it is brought to a level that is no longer affecting the strength of our economy. That's number one. When you diversify the economy, like I said, this means more money. The other day he said it clearly, the best practices all over the world for capital projects, infrastructural development, anywhere in the world, no matter how rich a country is this build, operate and transfer stuff.
Okay, before we go on this quick
Let me give one more point, Let me give him one more point. I give her one more point. The issue of the corruption that he's saying, they will appoint ministers, executives, or whatever, but they will be with a target. If they refuse to meet up the target, they will be the target. So if this is put in place, they won't stay.
That's some
And if they have any budget, it will be scrutinized. It has to be brought to where committees will sit and see whether it is relevant or it is not relevant or it is over budgeted or whatever.
So
there will be accountability.
They will be held accountable.
Yes, they will be held responsible. Nobody will waste money anyhow.
Okay, Dr. Moriam, thank you so much for that powerful statement. They will be the target. So we'll take a break now. When we return, our conversation will continue. Do stay.
Welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. Today, we are hosting the party officials of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP. And we have the National Publicity Secretary and the National Woman Leader right here with us in the studio. Soon we will be joined by the National Secretary of the party, Mr. Dipo Olayoku. He'll be joining us via Zoom in a short while. But let's again come back to the studio. And just before we, went on that short break, Dr. Major was talking about the need for supervision. He says that's what his party intends to do if elected into power in 2023. Strict supervision to ensure blockages of loopholes for corruption. But I want him also to explain what you mean by supervision. Is it supervision in the sense that you now have people standing over workers, ministries and parastatal and watching what they do? Or are you talking about supervision where you apply technology? Because every economy, every developed nation today is driven by technology. Where in your manifesto talks about institutional reforms via technology?
Thank you so much. Once again, let me make it clear to you that yes, technology drives everything now. And if you go through our blueprint, you would see that most of these things we're talking about would be executed, taking maximum advantage of the use of technology. But that does not in any way stop the leaders from coming out to exert their control over what their appointees do. So we'll be employing both. And one of the strategies we use, like the woman leader did say, is our dream is to make sure that every appointee of government is accountable, at least especially to the immediate constituency or the immediate organization that he or she is appointed to superintend over. And what we'll be doing, which is also what the incoming president, His Excellency Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, also has suggested. If you go to the blueprint, you will see that we have said that there would be a checklist. Of course, the blueprint itself is already a checklist. That's why we have encouraged all Nigerians to ensure that they have access to it. We intend to, in the next few days, translate it to different languages. First of all, we'll compress it. We will condense it to a pamphlet size. Then we'll translate it to various local languages. It will now be the checklist for this contract, the social contract that we have with Nigerians. What we need to do is, by the time you have it, by the time we are in office, you keep checking. The ones we've done, you tick. The ones we've not done, you remind us. So that is the checklist. And so that will also be applicable even to NTA here, where we'll be able to, whoever is the DG, we'll be able to put him on his toes through, developing a checklist. Okay, so period, we expect to see this from your organization. If we don't see it, it means you are not productive enough and all of that. With that, he also in turn would also be able to put you under checks to be able to deliver on the assignment of ensuring that you have a quality Good Morning Nigeria program. So we intend to replicate that from the presidential level to the lower level, applying both technology.
That's the bureaucratic system. That's what you want to do.
No, it's not. What is bureaucracy?
Where you have a vertical, command.
No, there's nothing bureaucratic in it. When you talk of bureaucracy, the first thing that comes to the mind of people is unnecessary delays. unnecessary delays, which is your fears now.
Bureaucracy is managerial. You are talking about leadership from the top. Your principal will come and delegate, leadership for people.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is people will be appointed into positions. For instance, you will have a DG.
And they will be held accountable.
You will have a DG that probably wouldn't even be known to the president. But what is important to the president is that there is a DG that is expected to do so, and so. That is, the DG will be held accountable. The DG will in turn hold you accountable to ensure that you are productive enough to raise the bar for NTA.
How is it different from what we have on what we have been?
Yes. What is lacking?
Please allow her. She wants to. Yes.
What we are saying is that if assignment is given to you, there will be timeline that by this time you should have done what you are supposed to do. And if you need to give it up to the other person, like what do we call ease of doing business?
Because
I was the head of what do we call it before I left my office? It is under the vice president. That is ease of doing business. Can you call it the name?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know what you mean.
Know
because
what you
ease
well,
of
go
doing
ahead.
business,
Just go ahead.
executive orders.
Yes, yeah, executive orders. Yes. So everybody that has been appointed or and that is appointed or given an appointment to do a certain job, he has line of they will give you the schedule of the job that you are supposed to do. When you are given schedule, there are officers under you. Each maybe is in charge of clearing. This may be in charge of division of labor responsibility. They will give you responsibility to have the authority on the job you are given. But then you will be checkmate to make sure that you don't do excesses and you don't neglect your job. Your job should be done properly at the time and when due. That is what is done. It's not about tailor guiding you not to be free. No, we don't want. We want you to bring innovations from your mind. Do the right thing. Don't just deviate to something that is not expected in government.
Within the mandate.
Yes. Work within the mandate and make sure that you do the rightful thing. You will be checkmate to see how far you've gone within this timeline. Have you really finished your job? What was keeping you? If you have challenges, you write it down. But you are checkmate to make sure that jobs are properly done, not the way somebody will report in the morning and then go for his own private trading. In the afternoon, when they are to close, he clock in that he has just, it's closing. It will not be like that. People will be on their toes. They will work very well and they will enjoy the dividends of democracy.
Okay, talking about working, the civil service is the engine room of government.
Yeah.
In your manifesto, how are you going to address the welfare of civil servants in Nigeria?
You see, their salary payment is one of the problems that is making them to go into corruption. Secondly, if you go into office with the intention of being a thief as a leader, others will follow suit. They know you don't care, this laissez-faire kind of system. You just sit down in the office, you do eye service. But if they know you are upright, you will not take nonsense. You can walk in, not just to sit in your office executively. You can walk in around the office. Sometimes when you come in, before you go to your office, you go into various offices to see whether they are on seat or they are not doing their job. That will be put in place. And a civil service welfare will be enhanced. If they have proper pay, they are well paid, they will not play with their job. They will do their job diligently. I was a civil servant for years, and I know what it is. But before they gave you your salary, you have already been indebted with many people. How do you feel happy? There is no motivation, no enthusiasm, nothing to motivate you. You are going every 30 months, 30 days, you are already indebted with a lot of people. Before you pay those debts, you cannot even feed your family. How can you say minimum wage is 18,000 or 30,000? Some states cannot even pay. They will pay for hospital, they pay for transport, they pay for health, they pay for school fees of their children, they pay for many transportation. How do you want them to survive? You have already shown them that they have to be corrupted before they can meet up. And some people are earning millions in the office. Some drivers are earning 500,000, 600,000. That is what is happening with the ASU University. They are not well paid, and there is no checkmating. Nobody checks them. Whatever, every lecturer will ask a teacher, a student to pay this, to pay that, because they are not properly paid. If they have been given correct salary that is relevant to their work, I'm sure they will not be taxing the student anyhow.
Does your party have what is supposed to be the right salary scale?
When we get in power, you will see it. We are not going to, we don't want to do a lot of things to think as we are coercing people or we are trying to, we have strategies.
But that is what campaign
laid
is
out.
all about.
Yeah, we know, we know.
So let's
we are going to address the
Doctor,
issue of salary because we know we are not, people are not properly paid.
Okay.
And we cannot allow them to be endemic into this kind of life. They are not happy. They wake up in the morning, they go very late. There is no this motivation that makes them to think they have to go to the office very early.
So
and
your party, if elected, will restructure the salary of
the civil service.
The civil service, even pension will be the best so far. You will even be happy to go on pension.
Let me add.
What you will be
are you also going to be looking at, because several commissions of inquiry have recommended measure of some parastatals and all that.
Obviously, even this morning I heard it on news.
Which, in the first place, which salary is right? The salary that is right is the salary that is in tune with the realities of the society.
Life.
For instance, we are faced with heavy inflation now.
Yeah.
The purchasing power of the civil servant who earns, for instance, 100,000 a month is drastically reduced because of the realities in the market.
We attend the same market
where we all go to buy things. So there is no salary that is right, but there is salary that is real. And so an NNPP government under His Excellency Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, Senator Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, come 2023, will adjust first to check, and motivate civil servants to be able to be more productive. Will adjust the salaries to be in line with the realities that we are faced with. That's number one. Number two, you are talking of shrinking the number of ministries or something. Parastatals and all of that. Well,
and also talking about disparity in salaries.
That may not be a priority as we take off, because it comes with a lot of effects. One, what do you do with the people that you are taking off? You are shutting down their parastatals or whatever you are merging. Can all of them go into, the new organization that would now take in the 2 or 3 parastatals that you are bringing together? You have to look at the feasibility of all of that. So I can tell you that as he hits the ground running in 2023, this would also be checked. But the first thing is, how do we make food available for Nigerians? Because the greatest challenge we have now is that people are unable to feed. I can tell you, even at my level, the number of people that come around me to say, my family haven't eaten, some that do not even know me, they drop text messages just because I'm a public figure and my number is in the public domain. They write messages and all of that. So this will be the priorities first. 1, getting the people to be able to feed themselves and their children. 2, revamping the education sector so that we won't be seeing people who are wasting along the streets and all of that. But as we move on, by the time we attain some level of stability in these various places that are of immediate and utmost, that require immediate and utmost attention, we'll now begin to look at the idea of maybe having to put parastatals together to cut down on government bills. Yes, it's not out of place. It is there in the blueprint that will reduce the cost of funding government. The cost of governance, and that may be out one of it.
Is it going to start? What are you going to factor first? Is it going to start from top to bottom or from bottom to top?
Well, once you are taking on the NTA, for instance, let's say from the ministry, the top level of the ministry, which is the minister.
The cost of governance, that's what cost of governance, cutting the cost of governance. Is it going to start from the top to the bottom, or is it going to bottom up?
I am just trying to be balanced, because I know I'm speaking on a government-owned TV. Otherwise, I've been around for some time. I know where the problems are. If you leave it for me, first, I strongly believe that once the head is funny, the remaining part of the body will always be funny.
No, we're asking what your party, what an NNPP government will do.
Yes. So
because the people will hold your party accountable for what you say here and now.
First, let me tell you, part of the challenges we're having in the governance running costs is this issue of people who fix in things like ghost workers and all of that, whose salaries eventually goes into the pockets of one or two or three. You and I know that this is not possible if the top echelon of an organization is not involved. So one of the things we will do in attempting to clean up, I'm telling you that a major thing that is affecting these bloated bills that government pays has to do with this ghost worker syndrome, which is not possible by the younger ones. It's possible only if the top echelon is in tune with it. So one of the things we'll do is to touchlight properly the activities of those who form the top echelon, the top management level of government ministries and parastatals. Once that is done, you will see that the people under, who are only the biro and computer agents in perpetrating this, would all sit back and we'll have a cleaner civil society. I mean, a cleaner public service. That's number one. By the time that is done, we would have a saner public service. Then you come down. Once you start from the top, of course, it won't end at the top.
We have to fast forward our conversation, because we have a very limited time to wind off. Let's look at the issue of the downstream petroleum sector, and look at the issue of fuel scarcity, look at the issue of subsidy regime and oil theft, and of course the annual ritual of a turnaround maintenance of our refineries, bearing in mind that the Petroleum Industry Act, part of it, is in force. How would an NNPP government address the issues within that sector?
Oil. It is the highest revenue earner for our government as it stands now, because past governments have ignored the other sectors, because the oil industry is a money spinner anytime, any day. Now, one, oil leakages. If you check through the blueprint, you would see that by the time we have a very effective security, that is a security architecture in place, substantially they would be able to police the pipelines. Just a few weeks ago, we had of an illegal pipeline connected to a crude line somewhere, which has been in use for about 9 years. You begin to ask yourself, is this possible without the connivance of, top government agencies, top government actors, or even the security men? We will stop all of that, ensure that this illegality is not there. It is made possible because of inadequate policing. The civil defense, for instance, if you go through its charter, you will see that it was established, to provide security for public infrastructures.
Quickly speak on subsidy.
Subsidy is a scam.
Okay.
Putting money in the pockets of individuals.
And the refineries, what would you do?
Refineries, what we need to do is to liberalize it, allow private investors to invest. These bimodular refineries, it is the tradition anywhere in the world. Because we've seen, how attempts have been made at turnaround maintenance of refineries in the past, running into billions of dollars, not naira. And we have nothing to show for it. As I talk to you now, Kanda refinery almost in comatose after having expended so much on it. So all of that. So we will
cap your thoughts for the three areas: fuel scarcity, subsidy regime, and petroleum refineries.
Fuel scarcity.
Cap it. Cap your thoughts. That's a round of your thoughts.
Yes, fuel scarcity, for instance, which is what they are seeing now, is as a result of inadequate supervision.
Okay.
That's number one. Security of our oil infrastructures, like I said, is a priority to His Excellency's government, Rabi Musa Kwankwaso's government, come 2023. Subsidy, there will be nothing like subsidy.
Okay. Dr. Mariam, what is your message to Nigerians, particularly the NNPP supporters?
NNPP supporters should be very happy that they've gotten a good government that will take the mantle of leadership from those who have no business in governance. NNPP is the choice of every Nigerian. Go for it. It will solve the problems you are facing every day about kidnapping, about banditry and whatever. Go and get your PVC. vote for NNPP, and vote for Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso
Okay.
and other members that have
Okay, Dr.
got their
Mariam,
forms.
Dr. Mariam Jumai Bello Yasin, she's the national woman leader of the New Nigeria People's Party. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, ma'am.
And good morning, Nigeria. Dr. Agbo Major is the National Publicity Secretary, NNPP. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much. We have sports update is next.
All right, and that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. I would like to thank you for watching, and of course to say a very big thank you to our guests, officials of the NNPP. Join us again for another edition tomorrow. I am Claire Adilabu Akturisad.
And I am Juma Yusuf. Do have a wonderful day.